Hey, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to the next part of my feature, my top 5 favourite movies from every year that I've been alive, or whatever I'm calling it, something like that. I'm doing a list of the top 5 films from every year that I've been alive. So we started in 1967, because that's when I was born. We're now up to 1971, as you can see from there. So this is my favourite 5 films of this year. It's 1971. Obviously, I don't remember them first time round. I was 4. But I do have vague memories from around this time. This is when getting into my young childhood now. I started having vague memories of things I'd seen on TV, and not generally horror films, but we do have some horror films. Anyway, first up, by the way, they're not in any order. It's just a list of 5 films, not in order. My 5 favourite films of this year. So first up, we've got Blood on Satan's Claw. This is an English, what they call like a folk horror film, directed by Piers Haggard, stars Patrick Wymark and Linda Hayden, and it's a very disturbing film. It's about these young people in this village in the I don't know, it's the 16th century, so 18th century, in this village in the 18th century. And they find a skull in a field that's still got like juicy bits on. It turns out it's something to do with the devil, and things start happening in the film. People start dying, kids start growing hair on their bodies because they're trying to basically the devil's trying to regrow himself, essentially. And it's a really amazing film, done by Tygon British Films. It doesn't have a Hammer feel to it. It's kind of gritty. Hammer kind of had this glamorous view of horror, didn't it? Whereas this is kind of not gritty, but realistic and, like I say, quite disturbing in places. But anyway, so there we go. That's the Blood on Satan's Claw. Next up, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. This is the next film, the 3rd film in the original Apes movies. Remember at the end of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the world got blown up by the Doomsday Bomb. But they decided to do another one anyway, and somehow Cornelius Zira and another ape called Dr. Milo, who they'd not met previously, managed somehow to get into, I think, Taylor's ship. They managed to get Taylor's ship that had crashed, and somehow managed to get it up into space again, or whatever, and somehow, it doesn't explain it, it doesn't matter, travel back in time, back to 1973, and hijinks ensue. Like I said, it's a really good film. It has a really quite a downbeat ending, but obviously, talking apes is a novelty, but there's one chap, a scientist, I think he's like the president's science advisor. It turns out to be a real baddie, but it stars Roddy McDowall as returns as Cornelius, Kim Hunter as Zira, who does the line when they're in like a court and they offer her a banana. She won't eat a banana that they're sticking in her face, and she says, "Why won't she eat the banana?" And she just goes, "Because I loathe bananas." And the courtroom erupts. Anyway, Bradford Dillman, Natalie Trundy, who appears again. She was in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, playing one of the mutants, but she's playing a different character in this, and she will pop up in the next film as an ape. But and Ricardo Montalban and Sal Mineo, who I believe died quite tragically. Sal Mineo, if I'm thinking right, he got murdered. Anyway, like I said, it's quite a downbeat. I know they're not like comedies, are they, the Apes films? But this one does have a sense of melancholy to it, and it doesn't have a happy ending. I'll not spoil it. It doesn't have a happy ending, but it has an ending that will lead on to the next film. So there we go. So that's Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Right, next up on the list is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I think everybody in the world's seen this. This is the musical, directed by Mel Stewart and starring Gene Wilder and a cast of a gazillion. And it's a fun film, but it does have the disturbing boat tunnel ride where you see a chicken's head get chopped off. I think that's edited in some versions. But like I say, it's a very enjoyable film, based on the Roald Dahl book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And what can be said about it? It's got some nice songs in it. It's got some great location scenery. It wasn't filmed in the USA. It was filmed, or England. It was filmed in Germany, I think. And so you've got this, German architecture in the town and stuff, and it makes it a little bit different, to what you're expecting. And it's it's an enjoyable family film, apart from the tunnel ride. So there we go. Oh, and the chocolate waterfall and river just looks like diarrhea. It's terrible. But apart from that, it's a great film. Right, next up is Duel. D-U-E-L, Duel. I think it's the first feature film by Steven Spielberg. Originally a TV movie, like the movie of the week sort of thing that they used to have in America. They still do them. But it got a theatrical release internationally. But it's the classic film of Dennis Weaver as a businessman or whatever, an exec. I don't know what he is, but he's driving either to or from work. He's driving anyway through rural California, and he just meets the ire of a truck driver who just chases him and terrorizes him for the rest of the film, until the climactic scene. It's an amazing film. It's got some great driving scenes and some good stunts, and for a film that is just essentially one man against a truck driver who you never see apart from maybe his boots and stuff. You may see him, I don't know, but some people say he's in the diner. There's a scene where he gets into a diner and he's wanting to phone for help and stuff, and the truck's parked outside, and there's people say he could be in the diner somewhere, but it's never proven. But it's an amazing film. That's directed by Steven Spielberg, based on a short story by Richard Matheson, and the screenplay was written by Richard Matheson as well. And it's well worth a look. It's, like I said, the first feature film by Steven Spielberg. I think he would go on after this to do his first theatrical, solely theatrical film, which was Sugarland Express, which I've not seen, so I don't know if it's any good or not. But then he will go on to do Jaws, Close Encounters, all the other films, and become the legend that he is today. So that's Duel. Right, and finally, a Bond film. Yay! Diamonds Are Forever. This is the film that reintroduced us to Sean Connery as James Bond. They offered him a bucket load of money and I think like a 3-film deal or something like that, of which I think only 1 film was made, to get him to return, because it didn't work out with George Lazenby, even though the film were, on Her Majesty's Secret Service was a great film, but it didn't work out. So they got Sean Connery back one last time to play James Bond. Obviously, he would return in the 80s in Never Say Never Again, but that's not an official James Bond film. It's just a rehash of Thunderball, isn't it, when all's said and done? Excuse me. But it's a fun Bond film. It's not the best. It's got a great theme by Shirley Bassey. It's directed by Guy Hamilton. Obviously, it stars Sean Connery, Jill St. John, Charles Gray, who plays Blofeld in this. Remember, in the previous one, it was Telly Savalas. In the one before, it was Donald Pleasance. In this one, it's Charles Gray, who we'd seen in You Only Live Twice, playing a good guy who gets murdered. But in this one, he's playing Blofeld, who does a bit of drag in it. Lana Wood, Jimmy Dean, and Bruce Cabot, who you may know from King Kong. There we go. That's it. It's a lot of fun. But not the best. But it is a decent Bond film. Right, so that's it. That was my list for 1971, my top 5 films. Let's just recap them one last time. First up was The Blood on Satan's Claw. Second was Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Then we had Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Then Duel. And finally, Diamonds Are Forever. So there we go. So that was my list for 1971. What's coming up in 1972? Let's have a look. Let's have a look what we got. Now they've got 3 horror films, a sci-fi. 3 horror films and 2 sci-fis. Cool stuff. Right, so we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching, and wherever you are, look after each other, and until next time, I'll see you there.